So hello and welcome to the Donny Chaingang online with me, Matt Payne. We're coming live from the Full Speed Event studio. As you can see, no cameras in play today, just doing a little bit of maintenance on here. And after as many shows as we've done, we're now over 500 cycling esports shows in total. We've absolutely been flying at that. And in fact, I personally have been broadcasted. I've been on the mic for over 300 Donny Chaingangs and WoW Chaingangs today. I've only missed one of the broadcasts when we've been showing the ride. And I was actually sat on a bike being the yellow beacon. But fortunately for you, I'm on the mic rather than being the yellow beacon here today, because we've got Russ. He's just making his way down into the pens, just waiting for him to be connected all up and running. I'm sure everybody will keep this dialed as they go out from the pens if he doesn't quite make it. We're in Mercury for the Mercury Islands for the Mercury 40 now. This is a cracking route. You can see it on the right-hand side of your screen. Brand new route to the Donny Chaingang. And this means that we have got basically, essentially the perimeter of Mercury Islands, Umezi and the Neokyo areas. So basically taking ourselves out from Mecca, heading out and around farmland and around the castle, heading out through the city in Neokyo, then making our way back up on to the top of the loop and dropping back down round past Mech Isle. The finish point is a neon banner. It's a virtual banner. That's going to be coming up now. We reckon it's going to come in at 40.23. Hopefully, everybody is going to be able to keep it rubber side down, because we're all hopefully in our pain caves, keeping warm if you're in the northern hemisphere, because it's pretty Baltic in most places at the moment. And of course, this the Thursday Donny Chaingang, open to all riders who register, and it's really easy. You can register for free. It's www.fullspeedevents.at/buy tickets at fullspeedevents.com. You get there on the links. It's at Matt Fix Payne. You can get there from the at Full Speed Events ones as well. Make sure you jump on board. Make sure that you get in with the riders, and make sure you register 25 hours to 1 hour before. The riders just starting to leave the pens. We're going to take a little bit of a rundown with the riders as they head out. So let's get in on board with the Donny Chaingang once again. Just watching Finley Hudson head on out at the moment. And looks like quite a few people making the way out from those pens. Hopefully everybody's going to get out in one piece. Quite a number of updates. A few of the updates actually requiring a full restart of computers, which doesn't necessarily make it all that way easy. Now, there's a few people just making the way out from those pens. We're just going to take a little bit of a look. John Garford just making his way through now. This part of the route, always a tricky part for the start. So this is where our finish line is when we come back through after one full lap. So you can see our helicopter going over the top. So basically after the pens, that banner will be the finish in what is another 41k. So basically 41k from now, we're going to be heading back through underneath that banner. We can just give you those details once again. Top right hand side of your screens, going to be coming through Mercury 40, so it's a 40.1k lap. So we should be coming back through here at 40.23k. That is where we should get in and around through. And today's route is quite hilly as we watch the group make the way up through the island. Let's take you in with Fellow Viewer. Got to say a massive thank you to the team at Fellow Viewer. And they are making sure that we give you all of the right details in all the right places. Make sure you log on to that. They're powered by Strava. And if you want your details, if you want to know exactly how it's all working, how your stats are, you can see exactly where you're going. You can spin this, you can twist it, you can make it 2D, 3D. You can change it however you want, and you can just see alongside that Goodyear New Year. Goodyear, of course, looking after the members of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. That gives you all of the details. So now up on the top, we have gone from the start. We're making our way up towards the top left-hand side of that graphic. It's almost a high point of the course. We've then got a long run down, and it runs like a figure of 8 course, this. So it is basically, if we go round the left-hand loop in an anti-clockwise direction, the right-hand loop in a clockwise direction. At the moment, looks like everybody looking pretty smooth out there as they make their way in around. It certainly looks like we've got a couple of audio gremlins with the Zwift at the moment, so I'm sure that will all come back in the updates. Definitely taking their toll on a few of the riders already. So the riders make their way round. Let's move our Velo viewer out and round as we take a little look at Darren Topliss, tucked in here now. They've got to get themselves all back on board. Check out how the Chaingang works, whether it's the Donny Chaingang or the WOW, the Women's Only Wednesday, so DCG or WOW, really basically the same. Stay around the yellow beacon. The yellow beacon today is former national champion, the man whose bright idea when it was to put the whole thing onto Zwift in the first place. It is the one and only Russ Downing of Downing Cycling of Pro Espresso Fuel Club CC. That is the man with the beacon over his head in yellow in that Downing Cycling kit. You can see him just on the centre of your screen. Russ Downing, the one and only Fonzie Bear, riding that Pinarello, and of course Pinarello ambassador for many years now, making his way up towards the upper part of this course, just dodging the wild boar, just diving down off the side here in Mercury Islands. So basically this whole world that we've come to riding quite regularly actually on the Chaingang, and lots of people putting events in here on Zwift, the home of the Chaingang, today on Thursdays. Now, whilst we are just making our way up towards that sun, and the group just gets itself together, let's give you a couple of quick heads up. Just a quick reminder, if you are a member of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, if you're one of those people who have donated, a massive, massive thank you from myself, from Russ. Basically, it helps us keep the show on the road. It covers off some of the costs of running the Chaingang, of making sure we bring you the coverage, of streaming everything, and of all of the equipment that we use. Bearing in mind, obviously, that we have a habit of wearing stuff out. We do this as a living, both Emma and myself, professional commentators, and as such, it's not cheap kit when we break it, so we try not to, but things wear out, and having done so many Donny Chaingang shows, over 300 Donny Chaingang and WOW Chaingangs, that takes a fair amount of wear and tear. I won't tell you how many keyboards we've gone through, but it is a lot. Never mind things like headsets and interfaces and all the rest of it. So please, please, please do keep donating. We really do appreciate it. Say thank you. We do like to try and look after our riders, and to do that, you can see that we have a range of supporters across the bottom, as well as Downing Cycling's D in the centre and the Full Speed Events logo. That's Emma and myself. We have 1080, the best in shades. If you want some Oakleys, if you want to be the best looking, the most protected with the market, with the one and only set of shades. And I've got to say, I've been an absolute fan for a long, long time. I managed to go through a fair few pairs on the way through, and definitely survived really well when I managed to stack it head first recently. I wouldn't be without my Oakleys 1080 with that discount. I must thank you to Ian Taylor. Now, next along, it is our sponsor for January, Goodyear New Year. 30% discount if you donate as part of the DCG gang. You sign up at the link rolling across the screen on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. So please do sign up. 30% discount off Goodyear tyres and off Continental tyres, thanks to Shelley and all the gang at Cambrian Tyres. A massive thank you to him. Halo were, of course, the people who looked after our members in October for Halloween. It was a 20% discount then. It's still a full 10% discount, whether that is sealant, valves, or wheels, the best wheels in the business, the hoops that keep Russ rolling. And then do jump on board there. Nonnas are going to be looking after everybody in February. And if you are a member in February, so that's whether that's an all-season or a February member, you donate for the February, then there is a meal at Nonnas where we're going to go. It is open to members only. That is a very special menu. There's going to be Russ, going to be myself, Emma will be there as well. And a few of you already signing up. It is exclusive to members only. Please, please, please do make sure that you jump on board. Get that sorted out. It's a exclusive to members. There is a code to unlock that meal. Not normally something they do at the time we're going to let us go there, and there are limited tickets. So if everybody bought a ticket, we'd run out of tickets and physical spaces. And yes, Vin Donahoe, good point. You must be over 18. It's really simple because we've got no plus ones, we've got no extra spaces for parents, and we don't want to put people under a burden of having to look after people who are not necessarily their children. I know lots of you have volunteered to do it, but it's meant to be a relax and a fun. And so, yeah, just to keep things simple, it is over 18s only for that meal out. Sorry, if you're under 18, you will get there eventually. It is a frustration you will have to bear. We've all been there, seen there, done it, and decided to get ourselves there as soon as possible. Believe me, it's better. Yeah, it will be much easier to be under 18 again. I'd love to be under 18, knowing what I know now. Just doesn't work that way. So thank you, everybody who has already bought tickets. Please remember, guys, when we run out of tickets, we run out. So there is limited amount of space in there, limited whatever in there. We would love to see everybody. Mr. Mason, please do. You'll be more than welcome. There is still room. There's room for even the fat cyclist, Gareth Mason. He's self-named. That's not our nickname for Gareth. That is, he self-identifies as the fat cyclist. And we're not going to dissuade him of that. I wouldn't dare. Gareth, yes, please do. You're always welcome. I'd love to meet you up there. We are going to be in there. The larder is indeed stocked. This is Nonna's. The larder is always stocked with the best Italian produce. So a massive thank you to Stefano. Get in touch if you've got any questions about it. Don't hesitate to message me. It's at Matt Fixerpain. Private message, email, whatever. Always happy to answer that as usual. So please, 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 please make sure you come and have a chat, talk to us. We'll sort that out. You can get there. It's buytickets.at/fullspeed events. It's really simple. Same place that you go to register for Donny Chaingang or to donate. So please do come and join us. Really looking forward to that. Don't forget, of course, all the way through, and particularly important at the moment, is what kit you're wearing when you're out. Now, I know that Neil and Caroline from Gritty are at the moment heading up to another of the events they're supporting. They support the Donny Chaingang online. They support the National Mountain Bike Series. They support grassroots events in the Notts and Derby League. They're also supporting the National Trophy Cyclocross, and they're going up to support the National Championship Cyclocross. They're up there. They're on the journey now, heading up north. So please, please, please make sure you support the people who literally support your sport. They're on the screen across the bottom there. And Gritty have a 20% discount. 20% discount for all members of the DCG gang, off their new gloves, off their things like cyclocross tire gauges, all with a minimum impact on the environment. So please make sure you jump on board and make sure that you get that down, because we really do want to make sure that they are supported, because they're basically putting their money where their mouth is and getting the kit out there and supporting the events at the same time. Now, last but not least on the sponsors across the bottom is OTE. They looked after our riders in December with a massive, a mahoosive 30% discount on OTE Sports Nutrition. If you want to ride well, make sure that you do your recovery fuel. You make sure that you keep yourself hydrated, that you keep topped up on the minerals. Make sure that it's isotonic. Make sure it matches what you need. Talk to the guys at OTE. They're always willing to answer questions. They've done giveaways. They've been with us since the start. And all the way to the end of the season, they are looking after our riders with a 20% discount. So if you are one of those people who supported the big, nameless, faceless internet giants that seem to have a habit of coming down like dominoes at the moment, you don't need to. Get on board. support your local bike shop, or if you want to get it direct, then remember, if you're a member of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, 20% discount. So a couple of big tubs of recovery, a few sets of Cherry Anytime protein bars, flapjack, maybe a couple of tubes of the hydro tabs, and guess what? You're going to get your membership back, basically, in that kind of order. And it will last you a long, long time. Unless you start eating it like Smarties. So it really, really is important. So a massive thank you to them. They've been with us, most of the people with us since we started the Donny Chaingang Sports Club. Really, really is key. Now, a few other things to tell you about whilst we make our way around this first part of the ride. Just approaching 6 kilometres and 13 minutes of riding done. Just watching Russ as we make our way through the village at the moment, going through the centre of the village here. Couple of other bits and pieces to tell you. Starting on Friday, I would really, really, really like it if everybody who watches this tunes in, because Emma, yes, that Emma, the Wow Beacon, the person in charge of setting the routes for the Women's Only Wednesdays, former, of course, cyclocross chair for Notts and Derby, the person who's been on the mountain bike Commission for British Cycling coach, and of course commentator at the World Championships, is on the mic again. She's going to be bringing you the Tour of Boudica, courtesy of the Warrior Games, and Emma will be on the mic for that. You can follow Emma's socials. It's at @bikings_Emma, and Emma is leading the commentary on there. It is a women's 3-day stage race. Now, I can't remember how many stages, but I think from memory it's 5. I'll be honest, I'm not doing it. I'm going to have, actually for a change, less gigs on this weekend than Emma. It's quite nice. So, whilst I am busy doing all the other bits and pieces, Emma will be bringing that race out. Please give it a watch. Please give it a like, particularly if you're into watching stage racing. It's a massive, massive field of riders. There are a huge number of teams. We've been working on it all day today. We'll be working on it for the next few days. And got to say a big thank you to the team behind the scenes who look after all of the commentary prep, etc. Because we get to put words to it, but we also make sure that we've got lots of research going on in the background so we know exactly what we're talking about. Now, that's all stitched together by Carla of Aeonian. A massive thank you to Carla, who has been working really, really hard from the Aeonian squad. And the Aeonian team will be no strangers to people who are here on the Chaingang. And they'll have seen plenty of those riders out and riding. Now, we've been in following Russ for a while. Russ is a busy man. Russ has been out and about with fuel. As we see Mr. Backhouse just chasing back on to the group. Matlock's going to now be the rider taking up station in the back with Mount Fuji in the distance, just coming through the meadows, looking particularly fragrant at this time of year, because as with all of those Swift Worlds, the seasons change on the way through, dependent on where you log on. Things like the weather also, of course, is dependent on where the server is, where you've logged on to, and that is what determines your weather, whether it's sunny and beautiful as it is here as we watch Matlock go round. Mark Chamberlain. Okay, Mark Chamberlain is off to parents' evening. Good luck. I hope you don't get the must try harder. Mark just going to be heading out from the gang. Just taking a little bit of a check through here. Looks like Mr. License just on the back of the group. It does get a little bit quick on its way down through here, and I think Gareth going to need to just keep winding, mate. If you're watching Gareth, I know you regularly do. If you've just snoozed off a little bit because you're just waiting for it to kick on, get on that wheel of Mr. Booker. Gray Booker, one of our regular fast riders at the front of the Chaingang, riding for Summit CC, regular hill climb winner on his way through. I'm loving Vin Donahoe's parents must try harder. Yeah, always. That's always the case, isn't it? Blame the parents. I always do, particularly with my kids. Right, let's keep a check. Mr. Booker just hanging on the back here. We're making our way through. Now, this is the reverse of a lot of the routes here on Umesi, on Mercury Island as you come back through. Just see Mark Chamberlain on his way back in through. So, Mark now pulling to the side of the road. He'll be heading off. Good luck at parents' evening, mate. Done my fair share of those, so it has to be said. So the group on the way through. The instructions not needed, particularly at the moment. Just making the way down through past the rice fields, making the way down through the side of the tracks here. We stay pretty much on tarmac all the way round through the Mercury 40. And as you can see, as we're just taking a look at coming around this little right-hand turn here, the group really tight together. Fantastic control by the riders here on the Donny Chaingang, which is what we've come to expect. It does make the ride a lot easier. So the group on its way round. Greg Booker still holding station at the back, making sure he doesn't expend any more energy than he needs to. Good to see Wayne Barnes with us. Evening, Wayne. Wayne, another of our regular riders, another member of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. Great to see them on the move. Good to see the chat is on the go. Simon Runnit, aka Sean, just said, how many calories did you burn on the Rafa 500? 7,000 calories, Vin. So Vin Donahoe and Tracy both did a Rafa 500 across the period, but they also did a Rafa 500 in the day in addition to that. So 2 Rafa 500s at 7,000 calories. Oh, I wish that would be absolutely mega. I love Tracy, so I've got no idea. I bet you were hungry though, Tracy. I can absolutely guarantee that. Now, let's have a little look. Looks like we've got a few of the riders on board. Good to see Callum Crabe in here. Callum tucked in nicely. He's a regular rider. He's, I think, rode on the Tuesday on the members only. Remember, Tuesdays are for members of the DCG gang, so please do make sure that you join up to the DCG gang. Tracy, always hungry. Yeah, it's the advantage of being a bike rider, wouldn't it? Paul Martin, indoors doesn't count. Mate, you're indoors. Hey, break it. Well, you might be outdoors actually sat on your bike. If any member, anybody who's watching, any of the riders are actually sat outside at the moment, let us know. Craig Forrester, how did you eat over that amount of hours? Yeah, well, put food in your mouth. Normally, not intravenously. That would be the coffee on the way through. There's some monster distances. If you want to see what some of the details on the ride and the people who helped out, make sure you go onto the Facebook page. There is a Donny Chaingang on Zwift Facebook page. Join up. We vet all the people going through. Each check, you'll need to answer the questions. There's some questions to get yourselves in there. Once you're in there, really, really important. Have a look around it. There's lots of support, lots of help, lots of chat. Don't forget, we said this over Christmas, Donny Chaingang's one big family. Really, really important. So we've had a lot of people on the gang over the years. It's a big family. We still talk to people who are maybe not riding now, some people who are taking some time off. But if you need to talk, make sure you jump on there. And on there are lots of details about Vin and Tracy's escapades, the guys on the gang who looked after them, who were there, who did big turns, who did little turns, who was, and special mentions as well, quite rightly, for the people who were there. And great to see them in action. Didn't see them this year, jumped on with them last year. This year it was a busy work year, unfortunately, or fortunately. Quite happily take that. And don't forget, if you have blatant advert coming up, if you have an event you want commentate, don't forget, we don't just do World Championships. We can put words to the action on all your events. 4 studios, outside broadcast, as well as having absolutely class-leading connectivity and people who can talk for ages, a bit like me. So myself, Matt Pate, and Emma Martin, Professor Emma Martin, always up for talking about lots more riding. We absolutely love bikes. We love putting words to the action. We want to make sure that we get as many people jumping on bikes as is possible. Always up for a chat. So please, if in doubt, if you've got an event coming up, give us a shout. Now, that is irrespective of whether you want to send out something like the Donny Chaingang out there on a stream, or whether you're going to be broadcasting out. So right the way through to, for example, the World Championships, the live BBC downhill from the World Championships at the mountain bike had over 1 million live viewers to the BBC. So whether we are talking to just you because you just want your event covering, or whether we are sending that out and around quite literally millions of people, do get in touch. We know it's scary, and it's not scary, and we do take it very seriously. Obviously completely covered by all of the insurances and guarantees you need, and with guaranteed backups, etc., that you would find from professional broadcasts. So please do get in touch if you want somebody to put words to the action, not just on Zwift, but we do cover lots of outdoor sport as well. And as I say, clocking up lots and lots of hours on the shows. I won't tell you how many hours it is. Most of the stuff actually quite literally forgotten how many tens of thousands of hours we've done. It's a lot. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of hours. I'm loving the funniest bit from the Rough 500 is Aaron realising there was a lap counter around the volcano. Yes, there is. Me, I have a habit of watching film sport, also doing research, because we're bringing the World Cups out. If you didn't watch Zonhoven Cyclocross, please give it a watch. If you want to watch it anywhere in the world, as long as you're not in a geo-restricted area, the UCI YouTube is covering all of the World Cup and the World Championships. You can get that coverage. It is myself, Matt Payne, on there. Make sure you do that. If you're out and about, that is, you know, if your computer thinks it's in Brazil, if it's VPN, its virtual address is in Brazil. I think it's not geo-restricted in Brazil last I checked. Not sure about Japan. You don't need me talking as we come through the, as we make our way through the various neon gates here in the arcades. So a couple of other quick bits and pieces. If you are going to be watching the Cyclocross National Championships, you can watch it. It's going to be on BBC. It's going out on BBC. It's also going out on the British Cycling Facebook page and their YouTube channel. Good friend of mine and colleague Martin McDonald is on there, as well as ex-national champion Helen Wyman will be on there. Don't forget, of course, that we also have the Crosscast out, and we have a pretty long show heading out. It's out there now. It's long because we dissect the national trophy, the rights, wrongs, wherefores, and what is happening with it, and will it survive, and how long can it survive. It is controversial. There may be some soapbox moments. You have been warned. It's quite a long one, so if you're going to be travelling up to Falkirk, then do give it a listen. If you're going to do a Rafa 500, it will pass a couple of hours. It's a long edit. Neil nearly gave up on the edit because it was so long, but there was a lot in there. So please do download the Crosscast with me, Matt Payne, and Neil Mansfield. We're on season 7, show number 8 or 9, I've lost count. So 7 years doing this now on the Cyclocross podcast. Thousands and thousands of listeners. Massive thank you if you download, if you listen, if you have shared it and recommended it out. Don't forget, the more you share it, the better it is, the more we can keep it sustainable. It's a bit like the commentary. The more of it we do, the more sustainable it is that we can keep on doing this. Because the amount of time that it takes to do it properly, and there's plenty of people who aren't, the time it takes to do it properly, it takes a lot of time and a lot of money. So we need to get above that critical mass to do it. So please, guys, make sure that you keep in touch and share it out. We'd love to be doing loads more. Right. Okay, heading in through town, in with Mr. Hagger at the moment. Good to see one or two of our returning faces in here. I think Stephen Hilbert on board, another member of the DCG gang, Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. He's going to be tucked in here. I think he's likely to be in the green in the centre there, with a lot of ride-ons in his back pocket. No surprises there. Very popular man is Steve. Just so just going to take a little bit of a check. Who else have we got on board today? Harry Hudson, always I think a good word for Harry is threat. Harry is in the black. I think we're going to just get a look at it there. In the black, on the blue, Trombite, white helmet, polka dot gloves for ascending the Alp Swift. Harry Hudson, definitely a man who we know can be in there at the kill. You see Wolftail Phil is back on board, and Keyworth in here. Just going to take a little bit of a run through. Craig Forrester joining us, Russ Senior in here. That's not the old version of Russ, that's Russ Senior. Mick Hawkins is with us as well. Manning, I think I've just seen Newcall flying past on our screens as well. Looks like we've got at least one of the Stellaton gang. Stellaton named after, not Stella McCartney, oh no, named after that wonderful rocket fuel that comes from the Low Country Stella. You can name a race after the after Amstel, the Amstel Gold. You can name a bike club Stellaton Cycling after Stella, why not? Let's see Mr. Finney on board from that. Rob James is here. Rob nicely tucked on here, constantly improving. Rob getting better and better with every ride here, and good to see Rob tucked in with the group, making sure he's got that draft. Nicely done, sir. Keep it smooth. What you don't want to do is drop off the back, and it looks to me like Mr. Wallace is now going to have to do a little bit of chasing here. So just on the back of the group, that push just starting to come, and just having to give it a little bit more effort to push his way up to the main part of the group. You want to be hiding about a third of the way down the bunch is ideal. Generally round about that yellow beacon if you can find it, buried in the mass of people in there. Rich Langmead in here. Rich, another of our regulars. Interesting to see a few people just getting rid of anvils and things they don't want. So it is a drop down. It's a good place to put the anvil in, just to ease your legs in. You're not going to drop the rest of the pack down here with an anvil, but you will be able to just stretch your legs, just have that little bit easier run in through. A few arrows being employed as well. On the run down towards the line, in the hope of getting something maybe a little bit different in the sprint line. Don't forget, if you get something like a burrito, a good place to dump, good way to dump that is you can pull up the interface at the bottom of the screen. So if you ping up the interface in the bottom and you work your way in through, then what you can do is you can go flick through, and you'll have a lot more than we have on there. And in there is a dustbin. It allows you to bin a power up. So if you've got a burrito, you don't want to basically kill everybody because you're going to drop their draft and destroy that. Stick it in the bin. Always a good move. Okay. Just getting a little bit more strung out here. Just half an hour in to the ride. We covered 16.8k, 37 kilometres an hour, the current speed on there. I'm sure everybody familiar with the layout, the head-up display that we get with Zwift. Riders details top centre, speed, distance, height ascended, time that is elapsed. Top left side, watts, better power, revs, pedal cadence, and heart rate. Always very key. Remembering, of course, all that is relative. Some people can rev to 140 revs a minute, other people are comfy at about 60. Heart rates are dependent. There's some riders that when they get to 155 are about to go pop. Don't forget that, of course, the riders' details are also shown on the right-hand side of the screen. So you can see the moment over here in the blue. We're going to just give it a little flick so you can see it over there on the right hand side. That's Greg Booker, the man we're watching on your main screen, and it tells you the watts per kilo. Now, for anybody racing, watts per kilo are key. If I was outdoors riding next to my brother Adam, my big brother Adam, even though he's younger than me, Adam weighs in at a massive 100 kilos. In fact, my brother Damien weighs in at 140 kilos, and before anyone says he's fat, I dare you to say it to his face. He is 6'2" and built like a brick outhouse. Yeah, and he basically, imagine that his forearms are the size of your calves and his biceps are the size of your thighs. Then it'll give you an indication of just how big he is. Now, when I'm riding next to him, I can see that when I go uphill, even though I am only 80 kilos, I'm going to be able to go uphill and leave him behind. Somebody who's next to me at 50 is probably going to leave me behind. Vice versa, if you're looking for pure power, guess what? Got loads of speed. On the sprint, it slows the strength. Now, when you get inside, make sure that you keep an eye on that watts per kilo. It's a key figure, and it's a figure that is key for all of our riders when they're racing. Anybody who's actually raced rather than just done the theory will know that the information that you have on your competition is really, really key. Not just watching what they're doing, but looking at how well they're going. That power to weight ratio, really, really good indicator. Now, left-hand side of the screen are the sprint and the distances. So you see at the moment, we're just going through the Castle Park sprint. Tracy Seeley, the fastest of the female riders going through there. The men with a slightly different time. Hardly anything in it though, because everybody's in one pack. The Blob is riding well tonight. The force is with them, and they're riding good. Our helicopter distanced out of sight will drop back down in with the riders in with Gary Licence. One or two people put in the coffee break. Coffee break basically means that you're going to stay with the yellow beacon. Yellow beacon Russ tucked in the middle of this swirling mall of riders. It has multiple purposes, of course, but they weren't going to call it something else, were they? They were going to call it have a coffee break, which, you know, to be honest with me, is actually about having a coffee on the bike. Generally, whenever that happens, it's jump off the bike, head across into towards the coffee machine, which is about 2 steps from my bike. To be honest, funny that. My turbo trainer on bike is the nearest to the coffee machine. No surprises there. And make coffee, jump back on the bike again. So many better symbols. Well, yeah, we'll leave that to your imagination, shall we, Mr. Mason? Remember, this is a family show. Now, let's have a little look. Just seen Phil Holwell on here. Phil is one of our super fast riders, particularly when it goes uphill. However, he is one of our riders who maybe is not got the most absolute watts, because he is very long, is Phil. He's got a lot of power as well. Here we go. You can find him if you wait long enough. He's super quick, super fast, and he climbs like an absolute demon. However, not necessarily the rider you want to be hiding behind into a headwind. There's not so much up in there. Just tucked in that, I think, isn't that bright yellow, orange, and red kit? You can just see. Just hiding the other side, I think, of Russ. You see him making his way up towards front. Go on, Phil, squeeze those pedals first. Flat cap on. And a yellow tron back, very colour coordinated. It's Phil. He's driving PRC, which is an indication of his location and what he trains on regularly. So apologies from Russ for the signs. Russ not all that quiet. Doesn't need to do a lot of talking today. It's Brick Smith, Carl Johnson in here. Carl, one of our very quick riders, and very, very fast when it comes to putting the power down. Our riders at the moment, though, heading across away from one of our wheels, heading across to the other, heading out and away from Yoko, heading in and across in towards the Mercury House. This is a road rarely travelled on Zwift. Often find when you come on here, when it is one of the worlds, it is one of the quieter places to ride. So if you're searching getting away from a lot of the other riders, it's just all nice and quiet out here. In part That is because this is actually the hillier way to get over. It's very interesting. I actually like this. It's quite bumpy, and particularly once we make our way into the far side, up round Mekyle, and heading up over the top. The good news is a lot of this is subterranean, so down in underneath the stalactites, alongside the stalagmites, going past the bridge. There's a real mix here down in the caverns. So the winding, twisting descent starts down. So this is where things get very spirally indeed. You see we're right underneath the hillside at the moment, and just drop down over the top left-hand side turn. We're going to go back underneath. You're going to see the bridge going up over the top of the road. So it's about -4%. We're going to make our way down in through the cave. We've just been over the top of here. We're going to take a right-hand turn and go underneath the cave wall once again. So in through underneath in a figure of 8. So you're heading out pretty much in the direction of the cave in, but we've used the figure of 8 to lose a little bit of height on the way through. You can just see making our way through at the moment. The group looking pretty compact, still not distanced everybody. Everybody's sitting in here, looking relatively comfortable on the way down. So just start to see the odd bit of daylight coming in through the roof of the caverns here. A little bit of light reflecting about. I'm just going to take a right-hand turn here. And when we come round, not long before we pop out on the shoreline and start heading around now. This is the right-hand turn. This is the second of this is the first loop. The first section, one loop we do anti-clockwise, second loop we do clockwise, just to keep everything moving. So we cross over on the section coming through the tunnel, and it's actually not long before when we come back through before we go up onto our finish. Hopefully everybody's remembered where that virtual finish line is. Really critical. Everybody knows exactly where they are going to get to the end now. For those of you not used to the Chaingang, we are on our way down. We are watching Carl Johnson as we make our way out into the sunshine. You may recognise the palm trees and the sand. This is where we have been showing everybody we're heading today, down on the shoreline in the sun. We didn't want to give you a picture of some dark, dingy cavern. We wanted to make sure that you could see that you were heading out into the sunshine, out on the shore. The sand's glistening and it's golden. You can feel the heat bouncing back across it from the sun that's blazing down. The group of riders making their way down this thin strip of sand, making their way across past the low vegetation at the sides. Take the right-hand fork here, which is the slightly hillier of the routes, rather than going down the mangroves on the left-hand side. Very Bond-esque as you go through on the left-hand side, this right-hand side of the two. A little bit more ascent and a little bit more of a kick-in. Now, if we pull up just top left-hand side of the screen here, we're just going to pull out the route. This is going to show you the 2D version, and that is on the top left-hand side of your screen. We've come down the dip in, so 2/3 of the way along, you'll see there was a long flat section. We dip down now. The first little bump is the one that we're on now. The second big bump is as we go around the far side, and then we climb back into town. The Mercury 40 gives it away. Yeah, it does indeed. 40.1k on top of the leading should get us to 40.23. That is a little bit of a guesstimation because it's actually really hard to find the full detail. Is this being ridden in an event? It's no good watching the videos which today don't use it as an event, because the pen starts slightly different when you're starting just out on the side and away from the pens. Pens do add what feels like a little bit of distance, but we will see. So that's it in 3D. We are currently making our way down towards the bottom right-hand side of the screen of the fellow viewer graphic that you can see on your screen there. And at the moment, just starting to see a little bit of distance opening up. So Rob James just having to put on a bit of a turn of speed here, as is Russ at the moment. The gap has opened, and you can see this group has fractured now. This is where the two routes rejoin either side of the aisle. So Russ at the moment with a small group that's been detached from the main pack. Two distinct groups here. You can see it on your screens. You've got the main bunch on the front. You've got the yellow beacon at the back. You've got Rob James chasing behind. And Russ just going to try and bring this through. Russ and a lot of everybody else was waiting for Russ there. So I think everybody was easing up waiting for Russ. Well, some of them were. The rest kind of were a little bit oblivious, enjoying that downhill. So here we come through the side of the beach. There's still two big groups, two big gaps, two big groups, and I think Rob James at the moment just starting to lose ground. Well done, Rob. Just sitting in there, tucked in. Spin the legs a little bit. You'll soon find there's people coming out the back of this group. Wharfdale Phil in here. The group has reformed. You can see that top right-hand side. So left-hand turn here, which takes us up now. This is the climb at the end of the main drag down. So if we pull the profile up, you can see as we come in around from 23 to about 26k. There's a nice long drag of the yellow section showing that we're going to hit nearly 10%. That's where we're heading at the moment. We're just in with Wharfdale Phil. 43 minutes on the clock at the moment. You can see Del Williams tucked in here, Phil Oliver, just a little look, Doug Main in here. Del Williams, one of our real fast riders in the gang. We're on the ascent now, so this is where it all starts getting a little bit tougher. Going uphill now, and this is where the riders need to be very aware of what is around them. Starting to distance, I think there's two riders now. Out of the back of the group, it's going to take a little bit of a look. Looks like Jim has just been detached from the group. Jim, you've got Rob James behind you, about 30 seconds down, buddy. So Jim has some company potentially. Looks like Diane Barron just feeling the pressure. Come on, squeeze down. Get onto the back of that group. This is where things get tricky. Dan Barron, I think, going to be riding the standard Swift bike, so it's going to require a few more watts maybe than on the lighter bike. But I tell you what, there's going to be bodies everywhere soon, because guess what? We've just had the go, go, go. The legendary go, go, go has hit, and this is where everybody will want to be, right up at the front. Let's jump in with Aaron Cooley, one of our very, very fast riders, really has taken to the Chaingang like a duck to water. He's right at the front. He's just seen Finley Hudson kick off the front there. He's gone over on the wheel and closed that down. Here we go. It's time to see who has got the pace and the power. Who's going to need to employ a feather? Who's going to do the coffee break to try and hold the yellow beacon? It's no good if the yellow beacon can't hold the front. And the power and the speed that could come off here, it could well be the case. Just seeing Phil Holwell go through that. I think he's not going to be far away from the very front of the group. Hudson's right up there. Russ still having to put the power on mid-pack as they come through. Cooley's in here, but the gap is opening on the front. We do have a solo rider who's gone off the front, and I think, if I'm not much mistaken, that is going to be one of our really fast riders. There we go. We touted him earlier. Phil Holwell is on the ascent. We gave you fair warning. He's light, he's got the power, and he's using this to really string the group out. Behind him, they are in trouble. If we take our camera out, our satellite navigation view, you can see that it is dot to dot. It's a long line behind the riders as Phil goes up onto the top. They are strung out behind him, and he really has done some damage here. Now it's going to level off in front of Phil. We've got the run across the top here. The waterfall's tumbling down on his left before we drop down on a very fast descent. It's a little bit gravelly. It is a tough ascent. It's a good descent. This rode down this the other day on Zwift, and this, it really does make things interesting now. Holwell in 1, Drabble in 2, Harry Hudson in 3. Phil Oliver's up there, so is Harry Hudson, Finn Hudson. Oxenham is in, Atkinson is nearly in there. Wallace is not. So, looks like 8 riders if Atkinson can get him. And Johnny Atkinson is going to need to get in pretty quickly. He's put the draft in. He won't want that gap to open up too much before they come into the descent. As we come down past the waterfalls, this is all about staying in position now. Get in the draft, hold position. Let's see how much work is going to come out of the group behind them. As they've come through here, they've opened a gap which is at 9 seconds, and it has left Russ Downing on the front of the chasing group. That's a big pack that are with him, but there are riders dotted all the way across the top, of that boardwalk, and even on to the climb at the moment. This is going to be a tough ride to the finish. Remember, we finish at what is going to be 40.2k at the moment. It's not necessarily going to be all that easy. Russ just starting to wind this up. He's going to try and use the descent, so kicks on, then employs the anvil, and you know what this is going to do? This could well take him across to the leading group. We're in with Downing at the moment. The anvil comes off. Russ makes it to the back wheel, and I think he went across there with Rob Osman. That was a good move. So Osman came through with Downing. He's gone straight up to the group and off the front at the moment. Osman riding one of the fastest combinations here on Zwift. It's the second fastest wheel set in terms of aerodynamics and speed. He's on one of the fastest frame sets. Good combination for this course, which is, despite the drags and the hills, predominantly flat. Remember, for every uphill you've got a downhill where you are motoring very, very quickly indeed. At the moment, the leading group, it has swelled. It was only 8 riders. It is much bigger now. We'll try and get you a check on the riders a little bit further back. I think it's 30 seconds is the gap to the riders in front, and I make it, I think, 27 riders up the road, which is going to make things very interesting if you're in the group behind. So I think 27 riders at the moment. We're just going to be keeping our eyes on that because I think McCarthy likely to be leading this group down on the front. So 27 riders, they have about 28 seconds. It's a little bit jumpy because we're going to go over the fold in the map. You've had that analogy before. It's a bit like those old school paper maps. When we go from one fold over to another, when the mapping comes through, we often find that we'll see little time gaps and jumps. So this group are at 27 seconds on our last count back to the chasing group. 27 riders, 27 seconds. They're looking for a big old gap now to keep that pack chase behind. Distant, these are the chasing riders, and at the moment that looks like that is going to number 7 riders. They've got a big gap, so 7 riders chasing 27. And then our next group, this is group number 3 on the road, so Lane, Jackson, Ball, Dixon and co. They're in group 3. Group 4, that is this group of 5 riders, so Main, Turner, Forrester, Backhouse and Crabe. And then just behind, in fact, they're going to make contact here. Tracy Seeley's group in here. Tracy having a busy week. She was our yellow beacon yesterday on the WOW Chaingang. She rode on Tuesday. But clearly all of those kilometres on the Rafa 500, or in Tracy's case, the Rafa 1000, doing the business. So this is going to be the next chase group. We're going to take a little bit look a little bit further back. I think then we're going to start to see 1s and 2s. Darren Topless got 3 seconds on Carl Johnson. That's a powerful duo. If they can get together, Carl Johnson and Darren Toppers, they can get some watts out, those two. That would be a good group. Craggill just chasing hard behind. Whether or not he can make contact the full distance of the bridge and the turn. Craggill, in fact, is closest to John Gale. Gale has got Finney behind him, and then I think it's going to be Manib Janua, who is just behind. Come on, Manib! Keep that rolling, one of our brothers on bikes. Behind him then it's going to be Jim Flynn, Foxy, Rob James. Now the riders out at the back front of the ride, though. It certainly looks to me like Finley Hudson in with this leading group. Is it going to be Finley's today? We're going to see if that's going to be the case. Foxy, all done and dusted, the Rave rider. Well, I'm sure she's going to be in action on the Tour of Boudica. And make sure you give that a watch. Emma will be heading up the coverage, Emma, along with Gillian on the commentary duties for that. The Warrior Games bringing you the Tour of Boudica, the 3-day stage race. That's Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. I think it's 6:45 GMT, if I remember correctly. Stand to be corrected on that one because it's not one of my shows. The team here at Full Speed Events working behind the scenes to make sure that everything is all rolling, and we can bring you the professional commentary you'd expect. Now, if you think we've missed Russ, we haven't. We just wanted to give him a bit of a gap before he told everybody he'd gone down the road. Russ on the attack here, 7 watts per kilo. The yellow beacon looking to open it up. Maybe the little bit of a poke there by Foxy, saying, you know, stick it to the bear. We will see. Russ winding it up on the front. The response coming from Gareth Lyce and Finley Hudson. Really just starting to wind here. They've got to get on the way back. I'm loving the fact that Mason's saying, don't chase Russ, don't chase Russ. Leave it to the fast guys to chase him down, but they are going to be on there. And it looks like they've pulled him back. Hudson straight over the top, the youngster, not afraid to be the first rider to catch at the leader now. Across the second of the spits of land, this is the interconnecting section that takes us from the industrial mech aisle back in and across, and then we do have one of the tougher rolls in. So in we go to the T-junction, left-hand turn. Now this roll back across to Yemezi is, I always think, very, very interesting. It's not the easiest section to ride. The gradients just roll up and down, and it can really sap the energy. Add into the fact that because it's a connecting road from one set of routes to another, it's only used when people do the bigger routes, so it's not a very well travelled section of road. That means that it is not the sort of road that lots of people ride and they know intimately. They don't know how hard they need to push or not push on here. Phil Holwell, he knows how hard he wants to push. He's gone on the attack again. So again, 7 watts per kilo to get off the front. Phil Holwell, one of our very fast riders. If you do meet him in the Peak District, please don't try and keep up with him uphill. We don't want to be sending out the oxygen and the emergency paddles out your direction. He's incredibly quick. Currently 5 seconds to the good. He's got about 8k to go, so that's still a substantial distance, and I think Pete Drabble is thinking about coming after him. Drabble, the rider, thinking about chasing. He's got company. He's got Harry Hudson. So of all the people, Pete Drabble does not want to tow up there. I would imagine Harry Hudson is amongst them because Harry has a fearsome kick, so has Drabble. Then it's going to be Chopping, followed by Booker, followed by Hutch. Then Finley Hudson, then Mick Hawkins, then Matlock Wayne Barr. Barr, another good ride again. Downing just took to the back of that group. Holwell, though, is really starting to pressure. Just in 8 watts per kilo. He's going to be coming in to the left turn. You can see top right-hand side of your map, the way this snakes around, goes across the bridge at the end of the gorge. You can hear the waterfall in the distance. Take the left-hand turn, one of the big falls here. If it was cold and snowing, you would think of it more like a fjord almost, with that big waterfall at the end. But you can see the height he's got across from the riders coming on the other side. The riders making the way round now. Not long, we're going to turn to gravel. In fact, you can just see coming over the top that gravel section of a road takes on its diversion off the route that goes basically straight on that bridge, due to connect across to join up to the other side. However, not able to use that bridge at the moment. You can see they're working on it, and that stops you from getting from one side to another. That little shortcut not in operation, so we have to take to the dirt, increase resistance. And this is where maybe you would find a slightly different bike might help, but it's on the best all-rounder, the Tron bike, the Swift Concept 1, the lazy person's option. But sometimes it can pay off, because although it's not the best at any one type of riding, it's one of the best all-round bikes for an all-round route. So very, very good choice for a lot. Now, really interesting. Look at that. Puts in the roller. So he had the steamroller there just to make life a little bit easier. He's gone. I'll tell you something. This group, they need to get the finger out, because at the moment, Phil Holwell's looking for a solo victory. The gap has grown to 25 seconds to the yellow beacon group. 25 seconds. They've got what is 7k, now 6.9, 6.6. It's going to come down, but I'm not sure it's going to come down quickly enough to go over the temporary bridge at the top of the gorge. You're going to have to take a left turn. They're chasing Holwell. But I'll tell you something, they've got to get on with it, because if they hang around and look at each other, they're all going to be racing for second place, aka first loser. I always think the bridges on this section, as you come around the top on this diversion route round, it's a bit like walking on the old Camino de Rey, which is the old the King's Walk in El Chorro, an old climbing venue down near Malaga in south of Spain. And the Camino de Rey, the old King's Road, an absolutely, well, I went there, didn't have a path around. It's been restored a bit now. It's a bit better now than it used to be. It's still scary if you're not good with heights. I was out there climbing when we were going around it, but it had big holes. You know, you'd literally be stepping over what was, you know, a 5 or 6 rope length climb coming up into it. And the gaps were a long way down. You certainly wouldn't bounce if you hit the bottom. It was definitely a case of splat if you got it wrong. Well, one man who's not getting it wrong, Phil Holwell, is going to solo away. We know that he's got the power. We know he's got the pace. We know he's light. He's timed it well here. Can he hold on? Are we going to see a concerted chase, or are they just going to race for the best of the rest? Can't quite believe we've got such a big gap opened up on the class riders behind, but I think there's a bit of taking it easy. Now, there has been lots of racing. Flamme Rouge Racing, the 8 stages completing on Sunday. I think it was, can't even remember when they were. It's been a bit manic. So Flamme Rouge Racing's stage race will be going out. Don't forget, of course, that we've got a lot of the Tour of Watopi going on. You see a few of those jerseys on our riders, a few of the socks and shoes on the riders going round. The riders at the moment have plenty of riding and plenty of racing in the lakes. That's just indoors, never mind what's going on outdoors. We've seen the culmination of a lot of the leagues, we've seen the culmination of a lot of people's winter break and the start of the trading and the big trading blocks people are putting in to make sure that they're ready for the season. So, a lot of tired legs out there. I think that at the moment, Phil Holwell is the man who's benefiting from his great cyclocross season, because he's been racing the leagues and so on. He's been absolutely flying, and saw him in action actually in person out at the Yorkshire Lead at Graves Park, organised by the Bonk crew. And Phil Holwell was looking very, very strong there. He's now down and across. He's making his way on this transition. This is the only bit of road we actually cover twice today, except for the pens to the finish line, which is only a few hundred metres, based at about 120 metres or so. At the moment, Phil Holwell, just on that Lincoln Road, he's gone the opposite direction. He's now on his way back. He's going to do the right-hand turn. Time running out for the riders behind. About 4.5k left for Phil Holwell. At the moment, though, Harry Hudson has got a gap to Finley Hudson, the two Hudson brothers on the attack. Harry slightly older, both great climbers. Both excelled at the National Hill Climb Championships this year. Keep an eye on both these riders. They're absolutely flying. Definite names for the future to watch out for. Go back to something we were talking about earlier. The Crosscast actually did a little bit of a discussion about his Zwift, his indoor cycling, Is esports cycling, damaging cycling as a whole? And I would argue no. We've seen riders training, get better performances, being inspired to race, whatever age, whether you're on the age of the Hudsons or Mr. Wilson, who is slightly older, let's just say. Steve being inspired to race cyclocross this season by jumping on the bike on Swift and riding on the Chaingang. Great to see. Now, let's get ourselves in with Phil Hall. We're going to really have to keep an eye on Phil. He's eating up the distance at the moment. He's rocketing his way around. It's not going to be long before he is making his way up with just over an hour on the clock. The chasing group behind, I think, are finessing for second place. Finley Hudson, Great Booker, Harry Hudson with a slight gap then to Chopin and Barr, who are making the way up to them. Matlock is on his way trying to bridge across, as is Moore. Looks like Russ being distanced. Keith Richardson and co a little bit further back, but they've got the work cut out. They are literally going to be racing for second, because there's no way, unless he's abducted by aliens, that Phil Holwell is going to get caught here. He caught them napping. They let him go. We always say we love it when somebody puts in an attack and goes clear. And do you know what? He was brave. He went for it. When they chased him, he kept on kicking until he broke them. And then he's done that. He's gone clear. This is a great ride by the man who used to have PKRC, now riding to the north. And if you think when Phil retires, it's not going to be... it's going to be all over. Do you know what? It's not, because he's got a couple of young kids who also are incredibly fit and fast as well. So the next generation is already ready to take over when Phil can't be bothered doing it anymore. So Phil, at the moment, on his way round, you can see we're going to pull this to the satellite navigation view. You can see that 3D view. The pens are just up there. You can see that orange banner. So we'll go through the orange banner. We'll go past the pen and we're going to the blue virtual arch. It's the virtual arch, which is the finish today. The riders behind, got a long way to go to catch up with our leader at the moment. They've got a lot of work to do. This is Evans in 23rd place. Sharp keeping on working. Richardson being distanced off that leading group. Booker is on the attack, though. He's chasing after Harry Hudson. Hudson is going after Matlock, but Phil Holwell, well, he is doing the business here today. What a ride by Phil. Absolutely flying here as he makes his way out and through. What a ride by Holwell. He goes through past the pen. He's searching for that archway. What a great ride as he makes his way through. Behind you can see Hudson's just gone for a ghost. He's gone to ghost it. Matlock is behind. We're just taking a look. Holwell comes through the virtual banner. So Holwell is going to come through at 40.3. The chase is on behind. Wayne Barr at the moment chasing Finley Hudson. I think Finley's sat up too early here. The finish line is the virtual banner. Wayne Barr rockets in past him, and that virtual banner is up ahead. Downing is coming as well. So Barr is going to make his way to the virtual banner. He's got Downing chasing him behind. This is the run for the line. Barr's going to come through in second place. It's going to be a third place then for Downing. Hudson kicks again. He's going to get a fourth place here today. It's going to be a fifth place for Moore. Great ride by Moore here today. Sixth for Harry Hudson. Seventh for Wallace. Lobo should be coming through. If he's not rolled, it's going to be close. I think he was just rolled there by Keith Richardson. Lobo then in ninth. Chopin should be in to take a 11th place here. Matlock with him as well. That run for the line, tough stuff. You've got to remember, it's at the arch. It pays to watch the coverage if you don't know this course inside out. Now, big sprint there by Oxon and going through with Dale Williams and co. We're going to just try and run our way back a little bit further down the hillside here as Westwood comes round the left-hand turn. He's got a little bit of a gap behind him. Can't see anyone behind. So Westwood, the teammate of Booker, on the way up to the top. Absolutely flying. Finley and Harry both did the wrong banner. Pay attention. Remember. And there's another jump there. That was Cooley who came through over the top of Westwood. Booker a little bit further back, just cruising in at the moment. Looks like we've got another ghost on the way in here, so we're just going to try and take a little bit of a roll back whilst we've got a ghost in action. we are looking for our riders on the way round to the archway. Booker is crawling his way up here. He's going to be passed by the express train that is Rob Varty. Varty rolls in just ahead of Evans. And then it's going to be Booker. It may be Pearson. I think it's going to be Pearson who goes through next, followed by Jackson. That's the top 26 riders. They keep on coming through. Simon Runnett going to be in 27th, 28th. Well, you got Alexander Malin coming through. Chris Ball on a good ride here. Forbes comes through. Dixon is through. Steve Wilson going through. Oh, Steve Wilson is nearly there. My apologies, Steve. There we are. In fact, this is the man who's on the way through. So Phil can never remember the finish. He can never remember the end of the race. So Phil Howell made it without any problems because he went so early. There was no way he was going to get caught on his way in. Now the runner for the line is on Backhouse, engaging the steamroller behind him. They're going to try and get him by the virtual banner. So James Westwood, yes there was. It was a virtual blue arch. It is in fact this virtual blue arch. There we go. That was very, very quick indeed. You see at 40.3k, 40.2 we had it at 40.3 just in. Vin Donahoe goes in and through. So makes his way in. Then it's going to be Turner and Langmead. This, the perils of us using sometimes a new route, is that occasionally we do find that because we want to finish at a fixed arch rather than the blue banner and give you some warm down, not everybody gets there. We've seen it every time we've looked at it. Some riders, I suspect, probably the red mist obscuring the view. I must admit, I'm very guilty of that myself at times. Now, next rider going in to the banner. This is going to be Doug and going through, heading for the finish. He's going to be our next finisher on the Donny Chaingang. Remember, Thursdays is open to all. When we go to the Tuesdays, Tuesdays is members only. And we no doubt be seeing Tracy on there. Wednesdays in between. Well, the Wednesdays in between are going to be a women's only Wednesday. Great route that. Maybe next time we change it to one of the fixed banners. Maybe the sprint banner, the lap banner just before, just so that there's a fixed banner that everybody knows. It'll just pull it down that little bit more as well, but we'll see. You never know what Rust and the Bear may choose to do next. Now, next up, Andy Keyworth makes his way underneath the virtual banner. He goes through ahead of Greg Pattison. Pattison, our next rider, just outside the top 50 there. And hopefully all of our riders speeding up as we went through, getting that workout that the Donny Chaingang gives. So Pattison in through the banner. Next rider a bit further back is going to be Darren Toplish from Pine Cycles. Pine Cycles, of course, down at Sherwood Pines. So Russ just getting his legs back, as he says, just managed to scrape the podium. Always pays to pay attention to the feed if you've got it on, because I'm sure every now and then, we said it's a virtual banner at 40.23, which is basically, you could see the banner from about 40.2. It was up there. It is that archway just up that you can see Darren Toplish has gone through. Carl Johnson coming through. We did say they were full of power. Well, the pair of them make their way in underneath the banner with Darren Toplish holding off Carl Johnson as they come in to the line. Now, John Gale comes underneath the orange banner. He's not got all that far to go. Remember, it's the blue banner just up at the top. We've got Craig, we've got Gale just up in front. Mr. Gale, see that banner? In fact, I can see it from the orange banner. You can see that virtual banner in the distance there. Let's take a little quick look. Yep, you can see it just in front. So looking pretty good up there. So Gale at the moment on his way. Then we can just see it's going to be Finney behind. Then Manibaj Janua just making his way towards him. Rob J is going to be our lost runner. He's just got his way around the side there. That you can see plenty of people out on the far side and spinning their legs out as well, which is all part of doing the ride on the Donny Chaingang. So John Gale approaches that ban at the end of the mark the start of the lap when we came through. Marks the start of the lap as we go over. He comes underneath it at that 40k marker. John Finney taking the left-hand turn here. So John from the Stellaton base just to the north of Sheffield, proper Donny Chaingang territory is for sure. Just making the way in. The top here is the marker point for John to spin his legs out. Loving the conversation between Carl Johnson and Darren Topless. Darren's didn't have no chance of beating you in the sprint. I had to go early to go clear. Next up, it's going to be Manager Yanua. Well done, Manny. Job done. Another of our brothers on bike. It's good to see you out on the Donny Chaingang on a Thursday. Buddy, good to see you in action. Now, that means that Rob James is going to be our next rider going in to the finishes on the far side of the circuit. And Rob improving. Great ride by Rob here today. Rob taking it all the way in and holding that grip almost to that go, which is absolutely critical. And Rob will be our 55th finisher out of 72. Congratulations, Rob. Well done, mate. Good to see you on the gang once again. So as Rob makes his way in towards the finish, we are going to be diving out and across because we have got a very busy week coming up here at Full Speed Events. We're going to not only have brought you our 500th esports cycling show. That's a lot of hours, believe me. That was yesterday for the WOW. We've also brought you the Donny Chaingang here today. Well over 300 Chaingangs on Zwift covered. We're also going to be putting words to the action tomorrow. Emma will be talking all things Boudica on the Tour of Boudica, which is all part of the Warrior Games. And that is our 3-day stage race. That's going to be taking place on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've got our esports show on Sunday morning. Make sure you give us a follow for the details on that. We're also going to be keeping one eye on the National Cyclocross. We'll have brought you the Crosscast, which is out this week as well. Please do download that wherever you are. And we're going to be prepping for next week as well. Another busy week because next week we're going to have our WOW Chaingang. We're going to have the Donny Chaingang. We're also going to be bringing you the UCI Cyclocross. I'll be on UCI duty for that. That is the penultimate round coming from Benidorm. Last year's was an absolute cracker. There's a lot of the riders are going to be back in action who've been missing previously because they're actually on training camps out in the south of Spain. Don't forget to tune into that. If you're not in a geo-restricted area, if your computer thinks it's in somewhere that is not got a terrestrial coverage, then you'll be catching it with me. If not, if you are in Italy and you want to watch the Italian coverage, then make sure you tune in and log your computer in at your home address or whichever country you're in. Don't forget, of course, we'll be bringing you lots more action through the season. We've got a lot of work going on in terms of the background of the Donny Chaingang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club as well. And of course, we're doing some more support for events like our Open Week. So we are going to have a WOW, a women's only week in Spain. That is going to be coming up. You need to be on to the WOW Facebook page for the details on there. Get in touch with Emma. Already got people saying, yep, we're on our way, booking flights and getting themselves out there. So really, really, really good to see. Get yourselves down on there. We're also going to be doing a weekend as Full Speed Events, which is going to be based around the gravel, the Nord Charente gravel ride. So if, like Mr. James, you are on the gravel, you are making your way through the dust and dirt, then we will be bringing you plenty of action. Now, that is a perfect cyclocross come gravel ride. Lots of Strade Bianche, or in French, it is Chemin Blanc, which is basically white road. It is perfect. It's beautiful. Goes out around the areas of Tucson and looks very quick, very fast, very dusty. If you ever want it to look like somebody who rode Strade Bianche but want to do it in France instead with wine at the feed stations, quiche, maybe a ferry to get across the road, to get across the river, sorry. You name it, it's out there. Chateau for a feed station, absolutely stunning. The road one that follows on the Sunday is a Flandrian-style one. And coming to both, to ride the Meuse and Bergs around the Charente and to ride on the gravel, we have somebody who could give Russ a run for his money. We have Johan Museeuw. Yes, the Lion of Flanders is coming to the weekend, as is Nico Matan. So Nico Matan and Johan Museeuw will both be at that weekend. Now, it's the 7th and 8th of September. Put the date in your diary. Don't have to be a member of the DCG gang, etc., etc., etc. We're not doing that ride. That's not organised by us. We just want to make sure everybody has a great time. The entry fees are ridiculous. €35 for the gravel, and I think it's €8 if I remember right. Might be 10 now. A whole €10 for the road event. That includes all your food, your drink, the party afterwards. We're going to be doing some sample rides though at Full Speed events, which is before and after. So we're going to be sampling some of those sections, giving people a taste of the Strada Bianchi, of the Chemin de Forêt. We're going to be on some of the old Chemin de Fer, the old rail lines. We're also going to be heading out and round on some of the road climbs, the Bumpy Berg and so on. So we are going to be going on Bolieberg onto the Marot. We've got lots of those little climbs. We're going to do some of the sample. We're not going to go cover the whole route, but we're going to give people samples. That's going to be on the Thursday, the Friday. And then on the Monday, well, me personally, I'm going for cake and coffee at my favourite cafe in a beautiful village called Nanteuil. That is going to be followed by a little trip down to the chateau at Verteuil before riding back in. A nice warm down after what is a really busy weekend. You can do it all on either a gravel bike or a cyclocross bike. You can put road tyres on, a big 28s, or you could do it on a gravel bike with some fast tyres on the Sunday. But that is possible on that. That's the 7th and 8th of September, so please do get in touch if you fancy some of that, because it's going to be an absolutely cracking weekend. Really looking forward to that. We've got lots more on as well coming into February, so do keep up with us. We will, of course, also be bringing you the Wow Chaingang and the Donny Chaingang online. The Wow Chaingang is only Wednesday, or the Donny Chaingang, the Thursday open ride, or to join the gang and be able to access the Tuesday, get all of the links and discounts and the giveaways. It's www.buytickets.at/full speed events. www.buytickets.at/full speed events. You see it's coming across your screen now. Really simple. All the options are on there. If you are a member, get signed up for the meal at Nonna's. Really busy. If you want us to put words to action to your event, if you want Emma to be there, remember Emma, of course, the only UCI female lead host and commentator at the Glasgow Cycling Worlds. Myself, Matt Payne, I've done more World Championships and disciplines, I think, than I care to remember. Everything from BMX to mountain bike to road to track to indoor cycling, you name it. Lots of World Cups and lots of national series as well. We're always up for putting words to the action, to encouraging people to get on the bike, to have a great time, and hopefully share some of our passion for cycling with you on the other end. Please get in touch. Give us a shout. It's really easy. It's at Matt Fixerpain on Instagram, on Facebook, and pretty much across every platform. You can catch up with at Full Speed Events, and you can catch up with Emma. It's at biking_Emma. Russ is a busy man. He's out and about. Not only is he looking after the young family a lot of the time, but he's also, of course, Pinarello ambassador. There with Fuel Club CC. He's there with the Rocket Espresso team. He's an ambassador for Halo Wheels. Make sure you follow Russ across Russ Downing on social media, Fuel, as well as Rocket Espresso. Of course, Bikeflex as well, the bike leasing. So, guys, get in touch with Russ. Give him a follow. The more you follow, the more you share, the more that we can keep this going. It's been around now since before the real kick-in of cycling at the pandemic. We aim on being around as long as we can, but we do need to be able to do that because it all costs money. So if you can donate, do donate. Jump on board the gang. We'd love to see you. And it doesn't matter whether you're at the front, the back, the middle, whether you're having an easy ride, whether you're turning yourself inside out. We want to be there with you on the ride, so do give us a shout. Rob is nearly on his way to that, well, he's almost at that banner. He's just gone underneath the orange banner. If he takes a little bit of a look up in front, he's going to see the banner, and that's where he's heading. It looks a long way from here. I promise you, Rob, it's not. Literally, it's up the road, around the corner. That was the left-hand corner and maybe a little bit of a right-hand bend, but it soon gets there. And as you can see, just making his way over the top of the line there, around this long sweeping left bend. It will come pretty quickly. You've just got the hairpins to climb up, and then it'll be time to warm down. All of the Donny Chaingangs finish at a fixed point, whether that's a virtual banner, a sprint line, a climb line, or similar. And then, of course, remember that you've got that warm down to the blue banner, and that's time to spin your legs down, because this is a ramp workout. It sometimes turns into a race, always turns into a race, but most importantly, we want you to be in one piece at the end of it and be able to ride and train and enjoy your riding wherever you are and whatever you're doing afterwards. So, Rob James into the last turn. He takes a look up. That's the banner in front of him. Now, kick from Rob. Look at that, 5.5 watts per kilo. Nicely done, buddy. Up the slope as he goes through. Underneath the arch he goes. Rob James comes through. Time to spin those legs out, buddy. Enjoy the downhill. Get those drops points, and maybe, you never know, something else in the garage. So time for us to say goodbye. A massive thank you to Goodyear for looking after our members of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. A thank you to Russ for being our yellow beacon. Our riders who've been out there riding today, and you for watching. Don't forget, jump on to www.buytickets.at/fullspeed events. That address coming up again in a second, and support the people who support your sport, from Full Speed Events and Down in Cycling right through Halo Wheels, greatest sustainable sports apparel, OTE Nutrition, Goodyear Tyres, Nonna's Restaurant, 1080 Oakley's, and more. If they're looking after the gang, they're looking after your sport. But from me, Matt Payne, from all of the team, we will see you again soon. Goodbye.